Hey guys, it's Matt here from Henry Shine. Just doing a quick workflow today showing you the tray module in 3shape. So you can either click up there to hit new, or you can right click in the middle and click new when you're in the orders. We'll just call this tray, alright, upper, and let's spell that correctly, that might help. Tray upper, I'm going to choose model instead of digital impression or impression, that's fine. And then what we want to do is let's just choose the upper today, choose appliance, choose our tray, and then we're going to choose the next end tray material. Have me as a manufacturer. So basically that will then allow me to design a tray on the upper and process it. So you can only choose an upper or a lower. You can't do both together in the 3shape software. So let's just go to is it partial. Let's just use that one for a tray. Alright, so the first step is once you've imported in your model, or you do the scan yourself, then we're going to go and design. So in the designing workflow, first step you can do is block out. So this little line here is your path of insertion. So whatever your path of insertion is, so let's say it's that view there that I wanted to set, I'd hit set from view. It would change that path of insertion to be here rather than there. And then the next step in wax trimming will then block everything out. So you can see there, everything in that undercut zone is now blocked out for my path of insertion for my tray. Yeah, you can also add some wax to help block out more of an area. Like if you wanted to try and build up in here, you can build up some little bit of a space in there if you really wanted to as well. You know, that's just for you to fit your, you know, the tray in. You know, if you imagine you didn't really care, you don't have to, but obviously that's just going to create a little bit of a spacer more between those 2 points. One thing that you can do as well is in this section here, as you can see when I hit plus in this one here, you can say have this set to be 0.8, and then you'll add it, and it will only add to 0.8 thickness going through the palette. So if you wanted to create a little bit more space somewhere else, you can. Alright, so we're going to go next. The next step, we're going to draw our base. You can change your base thickness to be whatever you wanted. Impression gap, so if you decided on this one that you wanted to have a 2mm impression gap, you know, it will allow for that. And then once you've set all of this up, and you can also create this to be like if you wanted to create like a bit of a bit more of a buffer in there, it will create never mind. It will create like a bit of a, what would you call, relief in that middle. But this is one that we want to do to create our main, you know, outside boundary for our tray. Pretty much, well, just to really quickly go through, you can just quickly see how I'm just clicking around wherever I want to take the tray to. You know, whatever your boundary is, if you want to make sure that you want to, down the track, adjust your height or adjust for any freenums, you can do that. So you can, obviously you can see it's pretty quick and easy to come back and make an adjustment if you wanted to adjust the height of your tray somewhere. Yep. So once you've done that and you've drawn the outline of your tray, where you want your tray to go to, you can then go next. You can also create, by hitting the window icon there, you can create a little window in your tray as well. So the next step from here is it will actually generate the tray like that. You can, if you wanted to, you can use the add tool. So if you wanted to create more, you know, a thicker area here to help with your impression, you can. So you can see how I've just bulked that up out there a little bit to get better peripheries, you know, depending on exactly what you're wanting to achieve with your impressions. So there's add, smooth, whatnot, right? You've got this attachment, so this is where you can add off the trays. You can go to where is it? Full. There you go, customize tray. So you can choose, say, an angled handle large, click there, and then you can basically, you can then start to move the tray handle exactly where you want it to be. You can use your green arrows to enlarge it, or you can change the angle, whatever way you want to change that angle to. Yep. Once you've done your tray, you can increase the length or whatever. That's pretty much all close to being done. The only other thing that some people might want to do from here is put some text into it. So you can add someone's name, hit plus, you know, you can make that part of your tray, so the person's name's in the tray. And using this icon here and the plus, if I were to remove the model away, you can see what in this area. Let's just reduce the size. Depending on, this is how much gap until the opposing, what do you call it, the opposing model. So you can actually then build it up, and you can see create these little tissue stops. Depending on, you know, how big the tooth is, it will basically get to a point and it will just build it up, and then that way, you know, you've got a little tissue stop right there that's going to be sitting on that tooth. Yeah, so that way you can be sure that, you know, you're exactly, well, you're allowing for that 2mm gap of material. So that's how you create your tissue stops. So pretty much all there. You can also in here create perforation. So I usually adjust my hole spacing to 4, hole diameter to 3, and minimum distance to border 1, and hit preview, and then that will basically create your perforation that you need on your tray. So that, my friends, is how you do a tray in the 3shape software. So you can see it's pretty quick and easy. Doesn't take you too long to do. I think, you know, across the board with me showing you what to do there, it took me about 7 minutes. But if I didn't show you all the tools and whatnot, you know, I'm most probably designing it in about 5 minutes. So that gives you an idea on how easy it is to create a tray. So that's all good there. So you can go next. Once the tray is done, I'm going to hit close. So just to show you the final little step, open up the Asiga software, explore my cam, going to hit new job. I choose my printer, I choose whatever material that I wanted to. Let's just choose Denner tray right now, and 100 micron universal tray. Alright, there we go. And then pretty much I'll just drag my tray in, platform center, open. So in general, how I'd print my trays, I'd highlight it, I hit this rotate facet down button, click on the handle so you can see the trays in there, and now I drag that up to, say, the maximum height. The tray's obviously touching, so the handle is, that's why it's pink. I'm not going to lose sleep over that. Pretty much, or once I get it to, roughly speaking, on an angle like that, and you can fit a couple in there. Add supports. For my trays, I usually suggest lattice, and I'm going to turn off height leveling, because what that's going to do is that's going to move that 2mm up, and I don't want it. I want it at that height, otherwise it's going to be too tall. Alright, let's just be on the safe side. Let's change that to 35, and I'll save those settings. They're all pretty good outside of that, and then hit apply. And they're all of our supports. You know, obviously if I did lower supports, like 20 degrees there, you get less of them, but they're all gonna just flick off pretty easy, and you just quickly give them a whiz with a burr. So that's how you do a tray. Cool. And that would then set off to print. Once you hit print, you'd send it off, and obviously fast print mode, about 2 hours at 100 micron. If you have different materials, say the keystone or the next dent, you can change that from 100 to 150, and it brings that print time down to maybe an hour and a half, depending on the height of your tray. Alright, done. So that's how you do a tray, and just to quickly show you another bit of a workflow for the splints, splint, upper. So you do the same, we'll just call it digital impression. Oh no, we'll just go model. We'll click on the upper, choose a splint, and we'll choose key splint soft. All right, lab cell, yada, yada, yada. Okay. So on this one, we're going to go right click, import scan again. I'll just come back and I'll choose a splints, upper jaw, axillary, lower jaw, mandible. And then I'm going to go right click and open it up into Design Studio to do splints. So once you open up into the Splint Studio, it opens up into a different 3shape software called Unite to do your designing. Once we do our designing, let me just bring the software onto that screen for you. So it opens up into the 3shape Unite. Usually the first time you open this up, it takes a little bit longer to read. I think this is the first time I've most probably opened up outside of updating to 2023. So once again, let's just close out of that one. You do have let's delete that, and let's just change our materials to build properties, and let's go to key splint soft clear. We'll make that 50 micron, and we'll make it an ultra gloss tray for our splint. All right, and let's minimize that. Come on, I should have just yeah, that's taking too long because it's the first time. Always away. Oh, now it's reading the case. I might as well just let it do its thing now. There we go. So our first step in the Splint software is to make sure that we've got, you know, the right parameters for what we want. So this is set for keystone, so we're all good. This is what I'm wanting to print in. But we set 3 points on the splint, 1, 2, 3, go next. Open the splint up. Key splint suggests 1.6. You know, if it's too much, then you can reduce it a little bit, but understand that the company suggests 1.6 at least. I'm just gonna, once I've set it at 1.6 by clicking here, I'll lock the drawer into position, accept any little pop-up, and then go next. So this is our retention. So if I take the remove undercuts away, now I'm gonna make retention to be 1 mil, and then tick that. And then what that will do is that will then block all my undercuts out with that path of insertion that are 1 mil. So you can see it's kind of blocked everything out that's at least 1 mil. So I feel like they're pretty good settings. If you find that's too tight, then maybe bring that down to 0.5, and then it's slightly less of an undercut blocked out, you know. Oh, it's slightly more of an undercut blocked out. So cool, next. You can add in wax and add relief if you wanted to, and then basically this is where we're going to draw our line for our splint. So I'm just going to draw it like so, left click, draw it like so. Obviously the blue areas, you're aware that are your little bits of undercuts that you're going to use to engage. If there's a part, just like normal, if you're going to be lacking a little bit of retention, maybe drop this down a little bit in certain points to try and increase your retention where you can. Yeah, you know, you pick and choose wherever you wanted to draw your splint to, you know, but ideally you want to try and just get in some retention somewhere, you know, so that across the board you got a nice amount of retention. You can either like left click and draw that line like what I showed you just there, or you can you know, click and click along, one click at a time. Next, I usually like to design my splints with this follow to cusps on that area, and I'll usually like a raised ramp across my anteriors. So that's the settings that I usually like for the splints that I tell people to do. Once it is done here, then I'm just going to go next. Next. So I'll remove my articulator and that little bad boy. I use my wax tool. I like to add wax everywhere. Build up my wax, I go to town, and then I go to town on the smooth and smooth everything off. This is a great tool, I love the smooth tool. Just go over the edge, come back around here. So now you're seeing the splints actually starting to look smooth, and it makes it that plane a little bit more flat for you. Alright, there we go. These areas in red are high contacts, so I hit play. It will actually run an articulation like that, and then I hit adapt design. It'll trim all that area away, and then I might just want to create a little bit of canine guidance potentially. So I just add a little bit more wax there and there for my canine guidance, and then if I hit play, you can see I've now created that little bit of guidance in those areas. Cool, done. So that's my splint. You can put a name on it, you can add a little bit more material, wax it off, whatever, and that's a splint designed. Once that splint's designed, it will then open back up in a dental system. You generate the cam, and then you'd bring it into the Asiga. Similar thing to the tray. So that gives you an idea on both the splint and the tray module. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one, and I'll no doubt catch you later. Have a good one. Bye.